A little bit of good news. You heard about this already. It's been foreshadowed, so we'll bring Peter Zovak up to tell you about the VASH program and why we're asking for this budget adjustment to accept revenue.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Mr. Chair, members of the City Council and Housing Authority. Mr. Kelly, I noticed you were trying to leave before the item was being heard.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
He's just from up above and not from the weeds.
Right. Community development staff is seeking Housing Authority. It's a Housing Authority motion adopting a resolution of appropriation to receive approximately $151,000 from the Department of Housing and Urban Development as an adjustment to the 2016-17 housing budget. So otherwise it was money that was not anticipated. So since the adoption, we've received this allocation of money from the HUD. As I mentioned, it's approximately $151,000 that we're expecting. The funding is intended to support a program, and it's a joint effort between the Department of Veterans Affairs and the Department of Housing and Urban Development. It's called the VASH program. It's the Veterans Assistance Supportive Housing Program. What it is the kind of a hybrid of the Section 8 program. So it's Section 8 rental assistance on a monthly basis that the Housing Authority administers in conjunction with the Veterans Administration, which takes applicants or clients first, qualifies them per VA requirements, then refers them out to the community and instructs them to go out and start looking for an apartment to lease up, and then going to that Housing Authority agency that is authorized to provide a special Section 8 voucher for that applicant. And then the VA is tasked with ongoing case management of that applicant once they are settled into a unit. It's a brand new program that came out in 2008. It's brand new for us. Very early on in the program, a number of agencies, much larger agencies, were being awarded VASH vouchers to kind of test out the system. They were looking for agencies that were near VA centers so that the referral process would be easy. Over the years, they've seen success in the program, so HUD and the VA have agreed to start allocating them out to more outlier agencies. And this particular year, Glendale was identified for 15 VASH vouchers. A lot of it was a result of very strong work by the Housing Authority under its Section 8 program, and in addition, under its Continuum of Care program, as you just heard from Ms. Semvalian. A lot of those successful efforts have given HUD and the VA some comfort in allocating some VASH vouchers out to us. We're looking at...
Can I ask the question? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm wondering, are those for any veterans, or do they have to be combat veterans? I'm asking because I know that some of the most recent conflicts the U.S. has been involved in are not considered wars, and they don't... I just want to know that the veterans from Afghanistan and places like that are being offered the same benefits as someone who maybe went to Vietnam when it
They
comes
are.
to...
It's an open process, so it's not recently separated veterans or anything like that. It's strictly a veteran definition. They must be chronically homeless, must be willing to enter into the programming case management of the VA, and then comply with whichever housing agency they sign up with the program rules.
Great. Thank you.
Before accepting this award from HUD, staff did go out and meet with the VA out on the west side to better understand their role and process in it. We were encouraged by what we heard from the VA administrators of the VASH program. We are now looking to see if the VA will back up what they have told us in terms of the case management that they intend to provide clients. It is a difficult process. One thing they had told us, and one thing that I think you kind of heard in the earlier presentation, is that the programs have been around for a while. Those people that were most easily able to be helped have been helped. So what they're saying is you're now reaching lower levels of people that are much more resistant and more difficult to house.
And they actually interview and process and select the veterans for this program, and then they come to you for the voucher?
There's a couple of ways it could work, and we outline it in the report. The VA can simply have clients that they're dealing with now and who turn to them and say, now that I'm eligible to start looking for a unit, I'd like to look in Glendale. And they can refer over and say, Glendale has a program, they have VASH vouchers, go ahead and start looking, and they facilitate that search for a unit here in Glendale. So it can come through the VA through a direct referral. We can also, and our desire is to work with the Continuum of Care in identifying Glendale veterans, chronically homeless, that we can then refer to the VA, get them qualified, and then have the VA refer them back into the community here for lease-up under the Section 8 program. Or a third option, if none of this is working and we simply have these vouchers out there, but for whatever reasons the VA is not maybe not doing their work, the applicants are not out there strong enough looking to contract out a unit, because that does involve work. Driving around through the community, trying to find a unit as quickly as it's advertised for vacancy, getting out there quickly, hoping the VA helps them, facilitate them getting to that unit, maybe helping negotiate with their landlords. That takes time. So if those things don't work, our third option, rather than let the vouchers sit there, is that we can look at some of our existing projects, and Veterans Village was mentioned in the previous presentation. We do have some residents in Veterans Village that are VASH voucher holders from other agencies that have ported in. So we can make the decision to absorb some of those existing VASH clients using our VASH program and release that VASH voucher back to the original agency. And they can use that in a better scenario for their clients.
And you have extensive outreach in our community for these vets that might be eligible for these vouchers?
We have a close relationship with the Continuum of Care, who really has their finger on the pulse of that type of community. And to answer an earlier question, Veterans Village is not necessarily veterans chronically homeless. So there are residents of Veteran Village who are simply low income and qualified for the building. And we did have Glendale residents, veteran residents in that building, as well as some from outside outlying agencies. It's a mix.
Ms. Garpetti?
Yes. Is this like Section 8 program?
It is the Section 8 program, except the VA is providing upfront and back-end case management for the clients.
Because I did a quick math here. It's like $739
That's right.
a month, and there is no way that you can find an apartment in Glendale for $739, and that's what many of the Section 8 voucher holders are facing. Even if their amount is $1,100, you can't find a one-bedroom, so you go find a one-bedroom for $1,300. The state doesn't allow them, doesn't accept them to just pay the difference and rent a unit and use their voucher. So some people are losing their vouchers because they cannot find a place for like $1,100. Is this that type, or if they find an apartment for, I don't know, $1,200, they can pay the difference and use this program?
It's the Section 8 program exactly, and the math that you did is correct. What HUD did is they took a look at our existing Section 8 participants, and they said the average assistance that we provide them in a monthly rental subsidy is about $749, I think the number was. And then that's what they're allocating for our participants. That is not the contract rent, though. $749 is simply our portion. The tenants are also paying a portion of that rent. It can go as high as $1,000, $1,100, $1,200, depending upon what their income is. So there is a wider pool of units they have available to look. They are not looking at strictly trying to lease up.
It's a bit different because they can pay the difference if they...
Now, the Section 8 tenants pay the difference as well, up to a point that the formula allows them to pay.
Question, but...
Because maybe I just want to make it very clear for people to know as well. So if your Section 8 voucher, or this voucher is $1,000, let's say, it's just rounded up, and how do you do the calculation to let them know? Is it based on their income as to how
Yes,
much
it is.
much more?
So every household
rent
has a
they can pay?
different standard that applies to them. So our average, though, per household is about $750 a month. So if someone comes in off the waiting list, we will assess them, we will calculate their income, and they'll say, based upon the HUD formula, you can afford $300 a month in contributing towards rent. Here's our maximum rents that we can subsidize or allow to be charged. That difference is being paid through the Section 8 program.
And one last question. The administration fee is being paid by VA as well, by HUD as well?
Yes, HUD is also, much like the Section 8 program, in addition to the housing assistance payments, they're also giving us a small, equal amount of admin fee funding equal to the Section 8 program.
Thank you.
But we mentioned in the report, some of that admin fee funding may have to go towards, if we feel it's necessary, contracting out with Essentia to provide back-end case management to these clients if we don't feel that the VA is necessarily doing what they need to do to keep these people in their units once they lease up. So we want to have some flexibility to kind of tweak and adjust this program so it's successful.
Thank you.
Rosian?
Peter, are those 15 vouchers are portable or
Yes.
portable?
Someone can come in, lease up, and then immediately port out if they wanted to.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Sinanian?
The question raised by Mr. Garpetian makes me think of this question. So, how does HUD determine what that amount that HUD is going to support, to apply towards Section 8 is the amount is different for different cities, right? For different locations?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the
So the
question?
$700 that we were just referring to,
That's
what
the
HUD is
average
going, yeah.
assistance that we provide on behalf of a client on a monthly basis.
We being City of Glendale.
Correct.
So that amount is different from city to city?
Yes.
It is.
Housing prices between city and
Right.
city are different, and as a result, tenant portions of rent are different, housing authority portions of
And
rent are
how
different.
often does this amount get adjusted?
We look at it annually. HUD issues out a new rent schedule for the Southern California area, and then we have the ability to look at it and tailor it to a Glendale situation.
Okay.
And we've been doing that. More so lately, we've been doing multiple adjustments to it
Because
as
of
of
the
late because of the
increasing-
increasing rents.
And the unavailability of landlords willing to offer their units
Correct.
for Section 8.
Correct.
Okay, so
Correct.
that's something we're really dealing with, right? You're saying on a systematic
We are
basis.
trying to address the issue of escalating rents and making sure that the Section 8 program continues to be successful. But it comes at balancing that against
the
helping
total
more
amount of
people.
money that you get. Yeah.
So if we increase our costs from $750 to $800, and it's helping everyone on the program, then we may not be able to pull any new people off the program.
And that's what's happening, probably.
It's a little bit of that. I take that. It's a lot of that. Limited funding in the budget, and then increasing costs is a very difficult balancing act.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Chairman?
Kelly?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Peter, one question I had, Commissioner Parazian and I were talking about the VASH vouchers before we came in. Because of the special populations we have here, and especially because Authority Member Garpetian, many of his people were here last Tuesday night, older tenants on fixed incomes. Could some kind of VASH voucher be written for the older people in Glendale that are being almost forced out of? Could it be broadened or widened to include them? Would it need to be some kind of special voucher? Is there any way? There's no way we can help through something, a voucher of?
No, the constituency of an elder community like that, even though it is going through difficult times right now, HUD's only ability to be able to push through any type of new programming that could be approved by at the congressional and the Senate level has been a program for veterans. It's the only thing that they'll be willing to fund new nowadays. All the other existing programs are, for the most part, frozen in place, and it's been like that for a while.
Yeah, we can get more funding through our state level legislation, and unfortunately our governor is not interested at this point. So
Correct.
we pulled back $400 million of funding because it was not going to their liking, basically. So those resources are out there, but it has to be on a state level.
I see.
Yeah. Any new program has to be the federal priority before it is a local priority. And only when it is the federal priority does something get initiated and passed and funded.
Comments? I have one card. Ms. Ramirez? Thank you. Mr. Novak?
Mayor Devine, would you like to give 2 minutes? 2 minutes?
Thank you. I want to thank you for taking responsibility for housing or looking of a better way to house our military veterans. I haven't seen this much proactiveness and zest and zeal for our military veterans in a long time. It's long overdue. Our military veterans are impoverished and or homeless. They should have been taken care of long time ago, as when I was coming here years ago, when the mayor was still here, the ex-mayor, and these poor souls, these warriors, end up on the streets, then heavily medicated. They're not crazy. They stand for principle, and many of them don't even want to live in shelters, but they stand on principle and they live on the streets under horrendous conditions. Many of them get robbed, their licenses, their IDs, everything, but they end up homeless and they succumbed inside, and many of them have died on the streets. That is shameful. And finally, I am grateful that Mayor and council members are taking an action to really house these human beings. I will step aside for any one of these veterans. And I wasn't born in this country, but I do love them dearly. God bless America. And furthermore, I am angry because I have been at the LA City and I've seen the mayor, Eric Garcetti, not take any stand on housing our military veterans. And I made it very clear that we do not want to re-elect Eric Garcetti. He's a lovely man, but he does not do anything for our military veterans. I have voiced that in his face, and I said, truly, I am disappointed. I voted for you, and I am not a Democrat. I voted for you because I believed in you, but now you have failed. It is my reputation. I respect who and what I am, and I believe in what I am and what I stand for. So therefore, Eric Garcetti has done nothing to better homelessness nor our military veterans. Donald Trump will. God bless Donald Trump and God bless America.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. Any other comments? I have a motion.
I moved the item, but I have a question. We had like 3 different routes that we could take. Can we make that third route part of our motion or not?
The 3 different methods in which we could possibly fill out the vouchers?
Yeah,
That's not before the Housing Authority. Before the authority is simply approval of the resolution of appropriation. The method in which we are looking at trying to find applicants for the VASH vouchers is something that has been discussed, and we've kind of discussed it right here at the staff level. The preferred method is to fill it up with existing Glendale clients that we can refer through the VA, get them off the streets and into units.
Right. So that's something that you can do on the...
That's the administrative level, correct. It's simply the Housing Authority res of appropriation.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmer. So I'll move the item, Madam Mayor.
Second.
Roll call?
Authority Member Devine,
Yes.
Friedman,
Yes.
Garpetian,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Parazian,
Yes.
Chair Sinanian.
Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion for adjournment from the City Council?
Second.
And from, roll call, please. Take roll?
No, we
Okay,
don't.
let's go to the Housing Authority.
For housing?
Yes,
Motion?
please. Motion for adjournment.
Move
So
to
moved.
adjourn. Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you. And thank you. Thank you. We'll move to the